No Suck Connection Podcast Network. Welcome into the Wrestling War Zone, a Monday Night Wars podcast retrospective series, episode 112, where the play is dwell. Of course, that is myself, JT, and joining me as ever is my partner, Chad. Chad, how are you?
112, huh? We're
time.
making it. It's a long time.
Name me another 112 song, quick. Not only you. Nothing.
No.
Peaches and Cream. It's another good one.
No.
Anyway, here we are. We are a big episode tonight because it's pay-per-view night. We are covering In Your House Final Four, 1997. It's been kind of a hectic stretch. So I'd say since the Rumble for the WWF. We've had a lot go on. We had Thursday Raw Thursday. We had Shawn Michaels getting hurt. Nitro is hot. So there's like a lot going on in the world of wrestling, and there's a lot of flux. Raw has gone to 2 hours, and the old dusty format is out the window, and things are changing. For sure up in Stamford. But Chad, anything you want to cover before we dive in?
Well, I mentioned I needed a little emergency dadcast session as we start off. So we're doing the travel baseball this fall, and I received my first public warning from the umpire.
Nice. Welcome to the club, buddy. Good job.
I mean, the balls and strikes have been atrocious throughout. Like I understand like they're pitching, so give them a little leeway, but it's like, what are you teaching? Like they're foot outside, they're called strikes. It's inconsistent. It's in the eyeballs, but so I've been groaning about that, but this wasn't even in regards to that. So I was sitting on the third base line. Ball comes down the line, straight down the line, a little roller. Caden's team was on defense. Third baseman picks the ball up. You can see the chalk, spraying up. Picks up the ball, tags third base for the force out. Umpire calls it a foul ball right there. I mean, looking straight at, right at it and watching it roll straight down the line. Calls it a foul ball. So that got me started. That got that's brutal. That's not even close. So and this guy was one of these like every strike was like yeah. So he went foul ball and people were like, from the crowd, and he went foul ball and like did a very aggressive like foul. So there we go. Like Caden's team gets out of the inning, and now they're on offense. Guy hits a pop fly, short right field, like on the between the first baseman and the right fielder. Right fielder's charging up, first baseman's coming back. It drops. Now, I would say this was 3 feet. 4 feet fair, like very easily. The right fielder ends up fielding it. He fields it in fair territory. He throws it to second immediately. Everybody's running around. It's a big play. This is a big momentum play. The score's 7-5 at this point. He calls it foul. Now, the home plate umpire is the person that makes this call. There's also an umpire. There's 2 umpires in these games. There's another umpire that, when there's a runner on base, he's behind, second base or whatever. He said he didn't see it, so I don't know what he was doing. I mean, it was atrocious. So this was just awful. So everybody was losing their mind at this, it's one of those things. It's like, because even beyond all this crap, like then you get the 2 arguments that drive me nuts. One is, well, this is a thankless job.
They get paid. They get paid.
I'm out.
To me, if they're getting paid, it's over.
That's my second thing. So first, it's a thankless job. I'm an auditor. How many times do you think I get thanked out on the job for? So hey, I'm there with you, buddy. Enough of this is a thankless job. Second, the worst, even beyond that though, is when they say like they try to make it into like you're a crappy father. where
Right.
they say like, "Oh, is this how you want to raise your children?" To it's like, do you know what I want to raise my kid not to be
An
shitty
idiot.
at his job? Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like this is a paid position.
It's
Like
paid. Yeah.
these Joe blows at the wreck that are not paid, like at our wreck. It's fucking awful. It
Yeah,
is
if it's a volunteer
awful.
position, I always say the same thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, if you're accepting cash for this role, you are being paid to do the job that you're supposed to do. To me, if you're doing it for free or you're volunteering, then I think it's hands off. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But like, if you're paid and you're hired and you have no, real recourse, it is what it is. I mean, we actually had a very similar scenario recently at a travel softball game. We do like exhibition games, and then we have like tournament games for the travel team. So for exhibition games, we get one ump, doubleheader. We had one ump in the first game. He was fine. Then I turn to the right of me and I see like there's like 5 umps conveyed in this field, and I'm like, wow, like we must be getting a crew for the second game. So they come walking over, and one of the umps comes over to our coach, and she's like, listen, we have a trainee today. Trainee's gonna do the game because we're training a new ump. This fucking lady, man, she must have been in her 50s probably. She gets behind. I don't think she'd ever seen a baseball game. She is calling a girl swung and missed, and she called it a ball. She swung and missed and called it a ball. No clue. The pitches were coming in, and now this is softball, right? Now I get it. Like a girl on our team throws 50-ish, which is pretty fast for softball at that distance. She's ducking out of the way where she's not even seeing the pitches. And I'm like, I'm losing my mind because I'm like, yes, the game doesn't really matter. It's an exhibition game. But like, we've had a lot of rainouts this year. Like, the girls don't get a lot of time to play games. And it's like, this is such a waste of time because she's calling strikes up here. Like, it goes against all the development you work on. I'm like, you're so what do you do? Okay, swing at everything today. Like, you spend all this time teaching them what to swing at, where to swing.
Yeah.
And again, like, I get it. It's just softball, but no, this is like these girls spend a lot of time, spend a lot of money on it. Just like you're going through. It's like they put a lot of work into this. The coaches put a ton of work.
It's an investment on
Yeah.
our end.
The coaches put a lot of free time into this, and it's like to go there and with no heads up, just have a trainee ump show up and like just call, and like she had an ump auditing her behind her, like, helping her. I'm like, why can't she overrule her in the moment to at least bring some normalcy to the game? Like, if the ball, I see if it's close, but she's calling strikes over their heads. She was just guessing. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really hideous. I would say at most of the tournaments I'm at, there's 3 or 4 games going on, 2 umpires per game. There's probably like 1, maybe 2 good umpires. I mean, even before like that, so I had to take a deep breathe and recover and pace around outside. I mean, like I literally get like I went to bed Sunday when we got home because I'm in the sun all day. It's just it gives me almost a cardiac arrest out there because it's absurd. I mean, even before that happened, there was a runner on second, no runner on first in a previous game. Ball goes to the third baseman. He steps on the bag. Umpire calls him out. I'm like, it's not a force.
Yeah, it's like, what are we?
I mean, it's just like, I mean, come on, man. And then he was like, well, I forgot it wasn't a force. So he
This is what you need to do. You need to get on a podcast with Senior Cowboy Senior, and take your abuse out on him, because that's what I do. At Friars games, I guess, I'm out at the refs. I'm like, you're a ref. You're as bad as them. I'm going to take it out on you, and I'll just start yelling it, so he'll hear it. Be like, all officials suck. All referees are so bad. I'm like, you just got to get all your venom out of him. It'll make me feel a lot better.
That I still could not fathom. Like, again, you could see the chalk flying on the first one, and he was like 40 feet from it. But I cannot fathom how he called that pop fly foul. Like, it was not close. Like, again, 5 feet is a conservative amount. That ball was fair.
Well, and like I was talking to the coach's husband about it, and he's like, well, they got to train them. It'll help us in the long run. I'm like, this is doing nothing.
No,
because she is like, if she's not getting corrected in the moment, she's just not learning anything. She's just calling whatever she wants, and you're not. And what broke everyone was when she called the the swing a ball. I mean,
yeah, that's
that was
cool.
like, I mean, you swung. How's that a ball? Because she didn't see it because she's ducking. It's like no clue. No
So the
clue what to do.
umpire was ducking because
The
the
umpire was
pitcher was
ducking
throwing
as the
so
pitchers were
fast?
coming in because
Oh
she
my
she didn't want to get.
god.
She's got all the gear on. She's not throwing 95 miles an hour. I get it's coming quick because it's only 40 feet and it's coming at
Randy
50.
Johnson out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, our pitcher's pretty good. Like she throws pretty
Oh,
hard.
here we go.
50 at that age
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Excuse me.
50 at 40 feet. 50 at 40 feet.
From one phenom on the softball team to another phenom that we're going to talk about tonight.
Let's see. I'm trying to see what that's the equivalent of.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's probably. It's 40 feet.
40 feet. She throws 50.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not good at math. You're the math guy.
Yeah.
That's equivalent of. I think it's pretty fast. Yeah. Anyway, that brings an end to our baseball segment.
Yeah.
Should we start that again too?
Oh man, I've been steaming for 2 days.
I know. You warned me like days ago that you were.
Oh, we're at the end of the season. It'd been building.
Yeah,
it's
you need
like you could tell, like all the parents were just done once he called that. Like he basically said, he pointed to like 4 of us and said, "Fire another word from you, you're out."
Love it. Love it.
It's like, oh, give me a break.
We have to sign a contract this season to like that. We're not going to say anything. So I DJ those games. So I just keep my mouth shut. Play the music.
I know.
Play the music.
Christ.
All right. Listen, In Your House Final Four. That's where we're at tonight. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Not Chattanooga, but Chattanooga. February 17th, 97, I believe is the date. Am I off on that by day? 16th. Yeah. Any notes or news that you want to hit before we dive into this bad boy?
I think, I did read the Torch. Torch number 428, which was a packed torch that deals with the Thursday Raw Thursday, this show, and the Raw the next night. So there's a lot going on in that torch, but I won't read it. But I've been putting over Keller's editorials. I thought he had a pretty good one again on the Shawn Michaels decision. It's worth checking out if you have a Torch subscription to read that. Again, that's Torch number 428. Oh, we got
by the way, we got Marcus in the green room. Yeah, here I was going to say. So baseball conversion to that is 76 miles an hour. That's pretty good for 11 years old.
Yeah, Tim Wakefield on your team there.
Yeah. Throwing at that age is pretty good.
Throwing the gas.
Yeah, throwing the heat. Give the old number one.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, we kind of talked about this previously, but I would think to date in history, is this like the craziest week in WWF history? To this point?
Well, I mean, like with the steroid trial.
Yeah, but like a 1 week, like
I mean, there's a lot going on. I would say, I mean, it's easier in my brain capacity to think about like from this podcast, and I do think from the inception of this podcast, this is the most kind of chaotic week with stuff going on.
Yeah, it's got to be up there. I mean, maybe because nothing else is so live as this is. Like, there's never any other big live shows.
Yeah, that's one thing where they have more. Yeah, they actually have shows going on.
Right, like WrestleMania 3 is crazy, but then it's quiet around it. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So maybe the main event with the Hogan Andre, but even that, like, there's nothing else really.
Yeah, I was thinking like when Warrior and Bulldog get fired in '92.
Yeah, there's that week where Savage picks Perfect and then Survivor Series. So that could be one. That's a good one. Maybe Survivor Series 91 and Texas this Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a pretty weird week overall.
Yeah. So this is up there for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's get into the show then. We start with a video package focused on the importance of being WWF champion because we have a Final Four match tonight and the title is on the line. And that brings us to our opening match, which features Marc Mero, the Wild Man, taking on Leif Cassidy. Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler welcome us into Chattanooga. No Vince McMahon tonight.
Yeah, I made a note on that. I mean, I think a lot of things from just like the changing of the promotion and the aesthetics with, just Vince. I mean, not Vince, just JR and King on commentary. To me, this really feels like a show that will be like a pay-per-view we'll be getting years and years,
right.
Like you probably could have slid this show into '98 and it wouldn't have felt that out of place.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first show that kind of feels like that. So it was neat from that aspect.
I would agree. I mean, it's really over the next month that we get to that formula anyway, with Russo gaining power, the Raw going live, the Attitude stuff really kicking up. So yeah, we're getting there. All right, Mero has a goatee, so clearly we've been talking about a pending heel turn for him. But we've seen him had his issues with Rocky Maivia on Shotgun, so he's been very defensive over Sable. So it definitely looks like they got something cooking for him. Leif is already in the ring. He slaps Mero around to start. Mero fires back, runs through some offense, goes to the arm. JR talks about Mero always taking chances. He tries to hit a home run, and King says, "Look at that. Did for Shawn Michaels. He's in the hospital now." Mero drives Leif to the floor. Ross is noting Mero's newfound aggression. Leif pulls Mero down, rams his knee to the post. Sable gets involved, allows Mero to hit an axe handle off the apron. Mero slugs away, nails Leif with a slingshot leg drop for 2. Leif survives some kicks, drop kicks at the knee twice to take over, wrenches on the knee, twists it into a leg lace. A lot of strikes and wrenching. Mero's writhing in pain, the crowd trying to rally him. He slugs back into things with a grazing enziguri, gets a roll up for 2. Leif hits a shin breaker, goes back to work with a figure 4. Sable again ties up Leif. Leif grabs her, but Mero meets him with a plancha. Back inside, Mero slings Leif hard to the buckle, hits a Samoan drop, and buries him with a wild thing to pick up the win. I think it's solid. There's some awkward spots. It's a very simple story. A lot of mat work with Leif working the leg. Mero showing those shades of aggression. You can kind of feel the heel turn coming. Sable, I like how her getting edgier is wearing sunglasses all the time.
Yeah.
But she's also getting more involved. Like she's been doing this on TV and here now.
Mhm.
I like Leif in this role. Like he's fine as the heater on these shows. But a good little opener. A very rare clean win for Mero. I went 2 3/4. I want your take on the match, but then I want to talk about Mero for a minute.
Okay, yeah, I went 2.5. I thought this was it it was an interesting match where it's like they got enough time, and it's two guys that are not bad. Like we've talked a lot about Mero, and we'll continue. Leaf is always somebody I'm a little bit perplexed about because I mean I wasn't online around this time, and but you still read stuff from that
Mhm.
era, and he had like a lot of hype behind him, and
He
I
was in
know
that Benoit
yeah,
group
it's
of like guys that were like well hyped.
he's just always somebody that I kind of get it because he does show some athleticism. He can do some power moves. Like I guess he can have some great matches, like versus Benoit at what is that, like Return of the Funker or whatever,
Yeah,
Double
yeah.
Tables, one of those.
I think it's double
Um,
tables.
yeah, but it just seems like a lot of times it's always well it's solid but it's not great. And I thought that was here. Like I thought everything here was fine. Like it he was the fulcrum for the match, what he needed to be. The match wasn't really about him, so he stayed out of the way. He didn't hinder it. But again, it wasn't great. Like it was just fine. And the development with Mero and Sable is much needed and interesting. But again, we're still trying to. This match felt like they were trying to see like how much are we gonna do that aggression? Like, are we still going?
Right.
Because Mero works as a face in peril to a degree with the leg work, and then he's off of that, so it's a little bit back and forth, a little wonky in that regard. So solid enough, but 2.5.
This reminded me a lot of the Leaf Flash Funk match in that the
Yeah,
legend of it is like better than the matches were. Like I think because we were so starved for this kind of athletic perceived athletic action in WWF at this time, like those are matches that you hear about later, like oh yeah, Mero and Leaf, or yeah, Leaf and Flash Funk had a really great match on paper. It's almost like Hakushi went to the kid. Like there's a lot in this era that like at the time felt much better than when you go back in retrospect because you realize, okay, we were probably just excited for that and WWF at that time. But these two really have like a parallel vibe to me.
yeah. I think we could talk about that because I do want when we recap the show as a whole. I thought the reader reviews in the
Mhm.
Torch were especially interesting. Just kind of the rhetoric overall that we talked about with WWF at the time, where even compared to WCW, like they're certainly gaining momentum, but you like with those sold out reviews, like people were saying, like, well, WWF's been
Right.
far better. It's like, what are you watching? And I
Yep.
think you get that here with some of these matches. Like, if you were still a WWF centric fan at the time, it was easy to inflate this stuff.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you look at it as a whole, like Meltzer gives us a star and a half, Keller gives it 2.25, so they're even lower than us. I mean, again, I think it's fine, but yeah, in the scheme of 1997 worldwide wrestling, if you're watching everything in totality, it's not much more than a fine enough opener.
So this is ostensibly the end of Mero's first stretch with the company. He goes
Yeah.
on the shelf almost right after this. I think he might have a TV match after this, but I don't know if we see him again
Mhm.
for a while. I think, and he's gone for a while. I don't think we see him again until November, honestly. So he's been here about a year, and I mean, actually, he's on Raw the next night. So
Okay.
he is on Raw the next night, and then I think he's done. But I mean, I guess we can talk about it briefly, or we can save it. But I'll just say, like, his first year is super disappointing. I mean, it's a guy that never got out of the mud. He got saddled with that Hunter Helmsley feud that he just never got out of. He took beatings all the way down the final stretch. His
Yeah.
one little blip was winning the IC title. He got screwed by Perfect right away. Like, he really just never got going. I would say it's incredibly disappointing, and it seems like they were finally going to make him interesting. And if I would say it's a rumor, but also if you read the tea leaves at the time, it felt like Mero beating Rocky at Mania was the path that they were
Mm.
headed to win the IC title as a heel,
Yep.
which I think could have been interesting.
Yep.
But he ends up obviously going down with the knee injury and missing some time. So we can talk more about him on Raw, I guess. But any quick thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think as we chronicled, he's someone that was hindered a bit by booking. I mean, the Wallman character we talked about was lame. Didn't really mean anything. And then he's been cucked a lot in his
Mm-hmm.
booking, especially with the Hunter feud. But he's also someone that it feels like he gave in some ways a decent enough performance, but nothing to like
Yeah.
break that mold. He's very interesting to track, even though watching him is not very interesting at all. It's one of those, like, he's better to analyze in retrospect, like where he was booked, how he performed,
Yeah.
than sitting and watching the matches where you just thought, like, with his development in WCW from when he came on the scene, it was like, oh, a constant sense of progression. Like, oh, like in 91, he sucks.
Mm-hmm.
92, some glimmers of hope. 93, all right, he's decent. 94, hey, he's putting things
Really
together.
good. Yeah.
95, it's like, oh, this is a really, now he's a good wrestler that
Mm-hmm.
can have great matches at points. And then so him jumping to WWF, it's like, all right, like,
That
let's.
felt like a big pickup when he showed up at
Mhm.
WrestleMania. I remember just even back in '96 being like, "Oh shit, all right, here we go. Like this is a good addition." But
Yeah.
to me, he encapsulates the whole year of Raw in '96. Like the potential's there, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the style, the format, did not allow them to level up, and that goes for Owen Hart, right? It goes for like Goldust. Like there's a bunch of guys in that category that we talked about ad nauseum. How is this match not better? How is this match not better? How is this
Yeah.
like they have a bunch of guys and they just never, outside of like Mick Foley and Steve Austin, they never really level up.
Yeah, I want to read this quote from Bruce Mitchell. He gave a pretty awful review of the show, but he had one good nugget, and I think it encapsulates that. Let me see, where was it at? It was very good. I want to give it its due. Oh man, I can't find it. Basically, it said that when was the last time the WWF had matches on paper? Oh, no, actually, it wasn't Bruce Mitchell. It was our good friend JTW John Williams. But it says, like, when was the last time WWF had matches on paper that were better than they looked going in,
Yeah.
or even as good as they looked on paper?
I mean,
So
I think
so
Undertaker Mankind
there you
probably
go.
exceeded. I would say that probably exceeded,
Yeah,
at least initially, because Undertaker hadn't really done that prior. But beyond that, yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's many, if any,
yeah.
that really maybe. I mean, Austin Brett probably you're not thinking 4.5, 5. Maybe you're thinking
Yeah,
very good. But
he does give the caveat of here's the exact quote. When was the last time a WWF pay-per-view undercard match was better than it looked on paper? How about simply being as good as it looked on paper?
yeah, undercard is a good
So
caveat.
undercard
Yeah.
is a good caveat. I think he's spot on.
All right. Honky Tonk Man heads to the ring. Jim
Oh,
Ross takes us back to Thursday Raw Thursday. We revisit all of Shawn Michaels' speech, where he gives up the world title, and Gorilla Monsoon announces that it's on the line tonight. Our boy Kevin Kelly's with Psycho Sid. He's hyped for his big title shot tomorrow night. And I don't know where Honky went. He's just gone when they come back.
well, and I mean, how long? I mean, I know where this is going, but it's like, good God, how long did they drag this out?
No, we got another 2
And
months to go, buddy.
And I know, and I'm blaming this show on my stupid computer's algorithm because I shit you not, I watched this show and I opened up Facebook. What's the first thing I see recommended for me is Honky Tonk in 2023 talking about the Comic Con circuit, and he's looking for 2024 dates, and
There you
it's
go.
him standing in front of his 1987 Honky Tonk Man picture with his Honky Tonk Man's hairstyle is wild right now.
He
Have you
should yeah, I have
recently?
seen it. Yes, I
Yeah.
have seen it. He should
Wow.
consult Grooney about the con circuit and see
Con
where the
circuit.
best spots to go.
It was just like I cannot escape this idiot. Like in 1997 and 2023, he's still around.
He I'm guessing he probably just fucked with the crowd while they were showing the Shawn video package. He must have been like
Yeah,
cutting a promo or singing or whatever
yeah,
the hell he
because
was
they did
doing.
show almost all of Sean's promo.
Yeah, which
Um,
I'm okay with. Like, I'm not normally a big fan of eating that much pay-per-view time, but this was like a big angle. A
yeah,
lot of people may not have seen it on Thursday because it's such a different night for Raw. This is
yeah,
only a few days later, so I kind of am okay with them like using because it does set up the main event as well. So, like, I don't know if we needed the whole thing, but I'm not
yeah,
gonna complain too much because if you didn't see Thursday Raw Thursday, you may be confused. Like, it's a pretty big moment. So,
yeah. One more
um,
quick side note: did you see Lawler's gray goatee when
yes,
it's completely dyed?
yeah, yeah, it's quite
What
the
a
look.
look! What a look!
Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
like he saw JR's and he's like, I want that. He didn't look creepy enough.
Oh,
All right. 6-man tag action up next. A very unique match as the Nation of Domination, Farouk,
oh,
Savio Vega, and Crush, the work rate marvels, take on Flash Funk, Bart Gunn, and Goldust. Um, I get why Goldust is in this match, right? But
mhm.
I will say it felt like a real deep push for him. Like this
Yeah,
screamed rugged Ronnie Garvin and Pez Watley against,
yeah,
the Hart Foundation or whatever on Superstars, right? Like Twin Towers.
yeah.
It real has big vibes of having the star with Firebreaker Chip. You know what I mean? Like you kind of like, why is Goldust, who's like in the middle of the IC title push, he's got this whole thing going with Hunter, and he's teaming with these two jabrones against the Nation. Like, to me, this should have been the Pug, like whoever the hell else is still around. There had to be someone they could have shoved in this match
Well,
with these guys.
yeah, they. I mean, to me, they were kind of grasping for straws with this baby face because, I mean, with our recording schedule, when Bart Gunn came out there, I was like, have we seen him since the Billy Gunn match? And then they show this match versus clips of him versus Farouk. But that was the January 20th Raw. So
Yeah.
that's a month ago. That was his last match. I looked on Cage Match. So I don't know if he was banged up or what, but there's been nothing of that. He gets beat by Farouk with the Dominator, and now all of a sudden he's in this pay-per-view 6-man. So you could tell he was kind of just like a warm body they threw out there too to
Well,
complete
the
the
whole show
face
gets
side.
weird. Like, so I don't know if this was supposed to be. I don't know. Maybe Rocky was in this spot originally because Ahmed was supposed to fight Hunter
Yeah.
before the title change. So I don't. Maybe it was going to be Hunter Ahmed and then Rocky with these three guys instead of Goldust.
Did
But
they mention
maybe
where Ahmed was this show at all?
no,
So
no.
he's just hanging out.
Yeah. So, and the whole thing is weird. It's this card definitely feels like they had a shuffle last minute. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe one of our Jonathan Black or one of our other loyalists
Mhm.
can throw some comments in here. Let us know. Was this always the plan this match, or was it kind of
Oh,
hammered
this
out of something
yeah.
else? You know,
Because even like on the Savio side, like he's a heel now,
right?
but he's been a heel for a couple of weeks, and they've developed no really feuds for him.
No. Well,
So,
Ahmed he turned on, but Ahmed's
well,
with
yeah, I
Farouk.
mean
So yeah, it's like
Ahmed's fighting everybody in the nation.
yeah.
So
So All right, Flash Funk is out. The Funkettes. We get a full routine in the ring. The announcer's like, it's quite the spotlight randomly for
Yeah,
Flash Funk.
I,
It's
I
like a
was
whole thing.
I was pro this. The fuckettes were
Getting down. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Um, getting booked on one of your cruises. Bart Gunn is out next. He followed by Goldust and Marlena. The whole nation comes down through the stands, which I thought looked kind of cool. Quite the spectacle on that entrance. Farouk grabs a mic. Goldust attacks him before he could talk, which was fantastic. All six guys start brawling until Funk hits a big dive off the top to the floor to everybody. We settle back into Farouk and Goldust resetting with strikes. Funk tags in, but Farouk blocks a Rana with a spine buster. Savio gets the tag. Funk recovers, hits a top rope Rana. Funk knocks Savio to the floor, and then Bart launches him over the top into all of the nation, but Crush and Savio catch him, and Farouk slugs him down. Back of the ring, Savio and Crush take turns working Funk over with some basic strike offense. Farouk comes in, slaps him around, sits on his back a couple times, talks some shit. On the third one, Funk gets the knees up. I thought we were getting the hell. Please no, but we
Oh
didn't.
no, yeah.
No. Savio tags in. He keeps Funk trapped. Crush comes in. They hit a spike pile driver for 2. Flash counters a Savio and Farouk double clothesline. Takes out both guys. He tags in Bart, who cleans house to a pop. Gets 2 at a power slam on Farouk. All 6 men head in. They brawl. Bart gets a top rope bulldog on Farouk, but the ref is tied up, and Crush attacks with a leg drop, and Farouk rolls over for the win. Maybe this was better than it was on paper. JDW. I thought it was fast paced. I didn't mind it. Flash had looked better than he has in a while. He was really the highlight. He got the whole match. So I don't know if they were getting antsy to re-push him again, because he gets a full spotlight throughout all this. And Nation was pretty limited in their spots. I thought Bart had some good fire. A complete waste of Goldust. He doesn't even get in the fucking match. Like, he's standing there the whole time. So the Nation is rolling. I went 2 3/4. That was just as good as what I didn't get though was like, why not just do a tag and not have like, why is Goldust here if he's not even going to be in the match? So why not just do, if you can't find a third bum to stick in the match, why not just do Bart and Flash against Crush and Savio? I mean, Farouk at ringside, like that's just fine too. It's just my biggest takeaway from this was the odd usage of Goldust to position him on that level with those guys and then not even get in the ring. Like, it was just weird. It's someone else was supposed to be there that didn't show up or something, because it felt like a real last minute, because the angle with Marlena isn't even here. It's late. It's like different spots. So it's like, why are we? It really felt like a last minute plug-in.
Yeah. I mean, I just gave this a gentleman's 2. I felt like a Raw match to me. It was okay. I did take many highlights. I did think Flash with his high aerial moves looked good. He showed some flash, no pun intended. And I agree, Goldust was an odd choice. It was one of those things. It was a thrown together 6-man. You knew what the end result would be. The fact that it wasn't clean at the end, I guess, was expected, but
Yeah,
it
of course.
was like, I don't know, like, probably could have had Bart job clean to the Nation members. I don't think that would.
Well, it's almost like they don't even do it to protect Bart. It's more they want to show that the Nation like is just cheap and works in numbers. It's not like they'll just do whatever they win, right? That's kind of their thing.
Right.
It's a poor man's NWO Horseman at this point, a homeless man's. I think that's the vibe they go for, though, that they'll do anything to win.
Yeah. Did you see the huge when they were coming out of the entrance, the big like in one of those like printer paper lettering, the WCW fears ECF and W? It was like 10 people were holding up that sign with the little print. That was prominent. That was cool.
You think it was you think it was planted?
I don't know. I don't think so, because I think again, like it would took a coordinated effort. There was quite a few people that had to hold that puppy up. So yeah,
well,
I mean,
cool they showed it, because I mean, the ECW stuff's coming for us soon.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Just made note, but yeah, I mean, this to me it was a throwaway 6-man. That's what it was.
All right, Steve Austin's backstage with Doc Hendricks. Doc says Austin has no clear-cut victories over any of them. And Austin says, what are you talking about? I threw all of them out of the Rumble. And he calls Doc a jackass. Austin shits on Gorilla and the lack of instant replay, but the politics have held him back and promises a win tonight. So this is right up par with the usual Austin type of stuff. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's one of those things where he has an edge, but he's actually making points that are true. Like, he's like, well, last time I checked, we don't have instant replay. It's like, yeah, I mean, they really don't. So he kind of has a case that they sort of just willy nilly like vacated his Royal Rumble win or whatever. Kind of.
Right.
So I liked it. Him versus Doc's a pretty cool
Yeah.
interaction too, just with like the way Michael Hayes was as a Freebird in like circa 1983. He had kind of that same edge too in that time. So
Well, it's cool too with him and Gorilla being rivals because I mean we're at the tail end of Gorilla. Like you don't really picture him a lot in the Attitude Era, but he's really like a main Austin foil early in the year as the authority figure before Vince gets ratcheted up later in the year. So it's and Slaughter comes in later too. But you really don't think of Gorilla as like around during this time. But him and Austin's been pretty fun back and forth as well.
right.
All right, to the ring we go for our Intercontinental title match as Rocky Maivia, suddenly our new champion, defends against Hunter Hearst Helmsley. We get clips from Thursday Raw Thursday where Rocky pulled the upset. He jogs out. They start by trading some holds, easing in, and of course, this is our first ever. It's our second ever Hunter versus Rocky match, but our first ever pay-per-view between the two of them. So pretty cool again. Hunter tries to mess with Rocky just like he did on Thursday, slapping him around. Rocky heats up into a flurry with an armbar. Hunter slugs back and chops away in the corner. Rocky takes him down and works the arm some more. Hunter throws Rocky to the floor, keeps him there. He tries to get back in. Rocky comes back. Hunter slingshots him into the bottom rope. It's a suplex and into a chin lock. Ross and King are bickering about the officiating as Hunter cranks away. Rocky tries to rally, but Hunter hits a high knee. JR puts over Rocky's resilience again. He comes back with a small package for two, but Hunter stomps and keeps control, hitting a backbreaker and going to the chin lock. Rocky fights up and breaks the hold, gets a cross body for two, but whiffs on a drop kick. Hunter misses a knee drop, and then Rocky blocks a kick, but Hunter clotheslines him hard to the mat. Rocky comes back with some punches as Hunter comes off the top. Rocky rallies, strikes, and shoots Hunter hard to the corner. Rocky gets a power slam for two, heads up top with a high cross body for two. He hammers away in the corner, but Hunter walks out and hot shots him on the top buckle for two. Rocky comes right back with a DDT, but he drops his head and Hunter hits a face breaker and a neck breaker. Out comes Goldust to distract Hunter as Rocky gets a bridging German and gets the win to retain his title yet again. Thanks to an assist from Goldust, so he will reign on. It wasn't just a 3-day blip. Looks like they're going to try and establish him as champion. Out comes Marlena to join Goldust. They stare down with Hunter, and at this point, you know what's about to come. As Goldust gets toward the ring, that huge woman pops up from the crowd and chokes out Marlena until security takes her away. Goldust cradles Marlena. King is cracking jokes, which I thought was a little rough, not really selling the moment. JR plays it off like it was a fan. So a pretty wild moment here as this monstrous woman comes out and wrecks Marlena. Pretty famous moment. And again, this tells me that Goldust was not supposed to be in the match. Because why wouldn't you do it? Like, why is he back out here again to do this?
Yeah.
I like this. The chemistry is clearly on display. A little bit of a slower pace, but it told a story. Some of Hunter's best work has been in this little feud with Rocky, like where he's trying to carry him versus trying to amp things up. Had focused offense, had good comebacks from Rocky. Hunter drove the match. Rocky being booked around being resilient and finding a way to win. I like that. It's starting to work. It's making it seem legitimate instead of just a fluke. And I thought this is a pretty interesting post-match issue. We'll see where it goes as Hunter perhaps has some new muscle with Butler Curtis out of the way. Mm-hmm. So I went 3 stars on this, Chad, which I think is probably pretty much in line with Thursday Raw Thursday.
Yeah, that's slight below Thursday Raw Thursday, 2 3/4. I thought there was more focused on the body work on the Thursday Raw Thursday match, so I liked it a little better. I hadn't commented on it so far, and I think they're good for the main event, but I think up to the main event, the crowd sucks at this show, and it really hurt this match. We talked about it on Thursday Raw Thursday, how into Rocky winning the Worcester. I always want to say Worcestershire. The Worcester crowd. Worcester crowd. Worcester. Let me try like Ryan Gray.
Worcester.
The Worcester crowd was into Rocky Maivia, and here this felt like probably the worst response he's gotten in any show we've seen. Yeah. They didn't seem too enthused with him, but they weren't too enthused with much again up to the main event. Hunter's work was fine. King had a weird I think he wants to put Rocky over, but the way he does it's a little odd. With his Memphis development, I think he wants to help, but he keeps making fun of his haircut, saying he gets his haircut at a pet store, like just some your typical King comedy comments that don't really help. Finish I thought was again it was all right. Like Goldust coming out felt odd. I don't know. I did think it made Rocky look very strong. I mean,
well, I think the commentary and him hanging around is where the strength comes in for him. That like he takes a beating and hangs in. Yeah, he got an assist. He is a rookie. He's young.
yeah.
But I don't think it's been presented like a fluke. Like I don't think it's been like there's a we're going to get to it in the next few weeks on the show, but there's a mimic of this on Nitro that we'll be covering that to me feels much more like a fluke than this. Like I think Rocky has been positioned as a blue chip athlete, as a third generation star. Like he's had build to this point to make you think like, okay, maybe he won a little earlier than you would think. Maybe he's ahead of schedule, but that said, like he's going to grow into it. Whereas on the WCW side, we'll get to me, always felt like this dude came out of nowhere and feels very fluky, and he's not that good.
And then getting to the post match stuff. I do think watching the Jacqueline stuff first actually hurt this a little bit on Impact. Like I couldn't remember if it happened actually in the match or afterwards. So it happens afterwards. JR immediately asks, "Is that a woman?" like when she
again, like really.
And then the way King played it up, like Chyna locks in a real tight chin lock, like chokehold. So that looks good. And she looks menacing. Like, I mean, you can see the definition in her muscles, and she looks, imposing as she chokes out Marlena. But the way like Jackie jumped the railing and like they was really like picking up and flailing. I thought that had some impact. So it's kind of funny, like with this going on with the Rocky Maivia title change, and then the next title change that is completely mimicked on Nitro side. And then with both Jacqueline debuting and Chyna, it's fun how like all this is kind of interacting with each other. But yeah, I kind of give the edge to Jacqueline, which I wouldn't have thought. Like, I mean, I think obviously like influence eventually is going to turn obviously the other way, but just on an initial debut, I'd give the edge to Jacqueline, which I was surprised about. But it's, I mean, this is a big debut for us. This is somebody that'll be with us.
Oh yeah.
Until the end of the podcast, because our podcast really ebbs and flows with Chyna's career because she's gone after May of 2001. So if we make it to when we make it, I know when you get mad when we make it to WrestleMania 17. That'll be like one of her last big standouts. That was cool.
Yeah. And then we'll pick it up with Nation Invasion.
And and I'll just say like Keller, nobody like they mention obviously, but there's no like, hey, this is who this is. I don't know if Meltzer did. I didn't look at the Observer, but there's no like, hey, this is Joni Laurer, who blah 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 or whatever. Like they just say like a female bodyguard is kind of how she's described.
We'll see too if this finally gets Hunter over. I mean, he's been through Perfect, he's been through Hughes. Like, is this going to finally get him going?
Yeah, he's always somebody they want to pair with someone.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they have much faith in him as a talker. This one, I don't know, but we'll see. This is obviously the key that unlocks it. So.
Yeah.
All right. Kevin is back with Vader and Paul Bearer. Vader is pretty reserved. He issues warnings to his opponents. Calls Austin a gator butt.
Yeah, that was. I don't think he.
Yeah, not Vader's best work for sure. All right. Up next is our.
Honestly, Vader on promos. I would say Vader's a very strong promo. He's if you're relying on him to talk you through the match, you're in trouble. Yeah,
it shouldn't be your main goal.
No.
All right. Up next, our tag team title affair between Doug Furnas and Philip LaFon, challenging the British Bulldog and Owen Hart.
Most undeserving challengers in tag.
I'll tell you, my memory told me that like Furnas and LaFon dominated them on TV, and then they rolled into this match. They beat him in Survivor Series, and like I remember watching the show thinking for sure they were winning the belts. I'm like, Bulldog and Owen have been at each other's throats. Like Furnace and the Fawn are due. They're getting pushed. Like that was my memory of it, and even that night. So we'll see. Another title shot, despite not making any progress. Bulldog and Owen are out with their belts and the Slammies, and Clarence Mason is with them tonight.
Yeah.
We get clips of the Royal Rumble where Owen eliminated the Bulldog. Owen and Furnace start with a series of reversals and control holds, cutting a good pace. Furnace works the arm, tags LaFon, and he and Owen have a flurry of near falls. LaFon works the leg as Ross ponders if Owen's been faking a knee injury these last few weeks. Bulldog tags in after an assist from Owen on the apron. He works the back of LaFon. Owen and Bulldog start quick tagging, working over LaFon, pushing through a couple of comeback and pin attempts. Owen gets a nice gut wrench suplex for 2 and a backbreaker for 2. The champs continue to work together, focusing on the back. Bulldog gets a nice hard clothesline. LaFon blocks a sharpshooter. Owen goes in on the leg. Ross says the woman who attacked Marlena has been ejected and will be prosecuted. King says Rocky and Hunter are on the superstar line as the champs keep baiting in Furnace to double up on LaFon. LaFon gets a 2 on an inside cradle. Bulldog and Owen bicker, which allows LaFon to take them out. But Bulldog chips LaFon up. Owen hits Bulldog with a spin kick by accident. LaFon covers for 2, gets a power slam for 2. Finally, he makes a tag to Furnace, who cleans house, throws Owen all around the ring. Furnace and LaFon double team Owen, but he stays alive. LaFon gets a Northern Light suplex for a near fall. Then things continue to break down as the challengers hit a fun double team flurry. Owen survives, comes back with an enziguri. Both men crawl, make tags. Bulldog comes flying in with a drop kick, hits a pancake and a clothesline. LaFon gets a sunset flip for 2, but Owen makes a save. And we get another brawl with all 4 guys. Bulldog and Owen collide again, but Bulldog counters a LaFon monkey flip with a hot shot. Owen hits LaFon with the slammy. Bulldog hits the power slam, but the referee reveals that he saw what happened and disqualifies the champions for the win for Furnace and LaFon, but not the titles. Bulldog and Owen argue after the match. Clarence Mason tries to cool them off. Bulldog accidentally breaks the slammy, and Owen is heartbroken. He's so mad about this. But I didn't mean it. So he feels bad. Bulldog goes at Mason, and they settle things down.
Yeah.
So I thought this was fine. I mean, it had pretty good teamwork. I like the heel stuff by the champions. I think it's the best Furnace and LaFon I've looked since the Survivor Series. I'll say that. Bulldog and Owen are on fire, though, weaving their issues with the work and the character stuff. Like, they've been really good at that. They almost come across as faces in the ring a lot of the time, both in this feud and other matches, just by the way they're telling the story. The finish was clearly weak. I guess you can't have Furnace and LaFon lose again, and they did not want to take the belts off Bulldog and Owen yet. So mainly about pushing the issues with the champs over anything to do with Furnace and LaFon. So I went 3 stars. I thought it was fine, good, even, just better than what we've been getting out of them.
No, yeah, I went 3 1/4. I thought this was a good tag match. This is the first time in a while I thought that we had an overachieve. I thought Owen was really good in this match. When they take control over LaFon, the kick he gives is a vicious kick to the back that has a lot of sound. Of course, there's no crowd heat, so that kind of hurts
Yeah.
here. So, but yeah, I mean the work here was good. Clarence Mason, as we talked about, I think we can kind of cut ties with him. I don't know why they don't do like a Sonny with Farouk type situation where they just say Clarence said he couldn't handle the infighting amongst the guys. He wants to focus on the nation domination, but blah blah blah. It feels weird him out there. I thought we had good Bulldog tonight. His power moves looked really good.
Yeah.
He was funny in the argument after the match. I was hoping he'd call Owen an idiot again. You idiot. But we did get that. But yeah, Bulldog looked really strong. Furnace and LaFon, I don't know. I mean they're just floundering. Like it's a combination of them not having much charisma. The booking's been terrible. And even like this match itself, it's like, I mean, I wouldn't say they look bad here. And in ring, I thought they looked good. Like I thought when Furnace did get the hot tag, he has that, belly to belly. I thought Ross, he was trying to put him over, talking about him being a football player at Tennessee and then JUCO in Oklahoma and all that. And Phil LaFon was born in Paris, France. Like that matters. But anyway, we got some backstory on him. It's just, I just think like this feud is so much more about what's going on with Owen and Bulldog.
Yeah.
That Furnace and LaFon take a back seat.
Yeah, they're a sidecar.
And then it's like what we talked about. Like if they're this prominent tag team and this other tag team is having so much turmoil and so many problems, and yet they still can't get over the hump and win, the titles, it's like, all right.
They shouldn't have been interacting. They should have beat him in Survivor Series, and then Mason should have used his legal standing to prevent them from getting a title match, like until Bulldog and Owen are ready. So you could do Godwin's here. Who gives a shit? Like if you want to have a match, right? A beatable team. And keep them apart. And Mason's like, oh, you'll get your chance when we're ready. Then you actually put Mason to use. You explain why he's still with them because he's keeping Furnace and LaFon away. But I think as we see in ECW, and we talked about it elsewhere, I think that is better as heels, Furnace and LaFon. Like they're better as dismissive, arrogant jerks that are better than you. Give them a mouthpiece to run their mouth, like they would have in ECW later in the year. So like I think that is a better fit. Them is like the workhorse face team that can't get over the hump. The real team that is going to carry the face size is about a week away from arriving. So for now, this is kind of in the filler.
And I'd be remiss. This is kind of infamous match in Place to Be Nation lore as the Cowboy goes to class in Your House 13 Final Four 9 years ago. Good Lord. In his What Didn't Work, he only had one bullet point on this whole show. British Bulldog and Owen Hart. I love both of these guys individually, but as tag team champions, not so much. They fought two nobodies, and their infighting became the big story of the bout. The whole angle was weak. So there you go. The infamous two nobodies from.
He got roasted for that, but maybe he's not as wrong as we thought he was.
Well, it's like a blind squirrel fighting a nut. Like they were booked terrible, but they weren't nobodies.
Right. Yeah. Well, in the world of WWF,
I guess
presented as such.
I guess in Cowboys classroom, they were nobodies.
All right. Well, we'll see where Bulldog and Owen go, and Furnace and LaFon, what they got up to after this. So, I remember just being real shocked live at the time that Furnace and LaFon didn't win the belt.
This is such a funny review to read. His what worked? His 2 bullet points for what worked? Leif Cassidy. So there you go. And Goldust and Marlena. This is my favorite incarnation of Goldust, and I can't get enough Marlena. I thought Goldust was solid in the 6-man tag. He didn't tag.
He didn't do anything. Oh, he was one. Not from my vantage point, Cowboy.
Oh my Lord.
We should bring that column back.
Yeah.
Audio form.
Some felon homework from the Cowboy in the classroom there. Yeah.
All right. Doc Hendricks is with The Undertaker. He talks about taking back over. Usual Taker stuff. Vows to settle the score with Vader and take the belt. Ross and King take us through the journey to Final Four. And then we see King is navigating the Western Union blimp that's floating around the arena. So there you go.
I think it was so like in the era before the lighting and the big pillars at WrestleMania blocking your view, like this blimp flying around, like it looks like that would be an annoying nuisance. I don't recall I've ever been in an arena with the blimp there.
I don't know if I only really been to a lot of house shows during that era, so I don't remember if they brought it out for the house shows or not. But I don't know. Whatever. It helps identify the era.
Pain in the ass, this big blimp flying like in your viewpoint. But
I think it's high enough maybe where it's not blocking much, because you're looking down.
I guess.
All right, Final Four time. WWF World titles on the line. Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and Vader. Gorilla's in the ring with the title. Vader's out with Paul Bearer. Ross and King run down the rules, which is, of course, you can be eliminated by pin, submission, or over the top rope, or obviously, I guess there's no DQ or count out. So it is elimination style, so it's going to be last man standing will be the world champion. Vader's pumped. He's throwing stairs around. Austin comes out next. No pop for the glass. By the way, you talked about the crowd. Nothing here. It's dead. He emerges, focused on the ring. Undertaker gets some buzz, and we get Bret Hart talking to Kevin Kelly really quickly, and then he comes out, and we get going. We start very quickly with Taker and Vader throwing down. Hart and Austin are slugging away across the ring. Taker gets a flying clothesline for the first big move. He goes over and batters on Hart and Austin as well. Vader knocks Taker to the floor. He follows out and hammers away. Bret's controlling Austin. Howard Finkel gets shoved down as Vader grabs his chair, but whiffs on a swing. He tries again, but Taker kicks it back into his face. Taker shoots Vader to the steps. Bret's beating on Austin for near falls. Vader's bleeding all over his eye from the chair. Like, this is like the most memorable part of this match, I think, for most people. And it happens almost immediately. He's bleeding. I mean, we're minutes in, and he is gushing. It's pooling under his mask, and you can see it building up. And of course, This is one of the more infamous images as well on an early edition of Raw magazine. Vader, Bloody Vader, and they have his bloody eye on the cover. It was a pretty famous one. All four guys are back in the ring. They're paired off, trading strikes. Austin breaks a Bret Hart sleeper with a jawbreaker for 2. Taker chokeslams Vader. Austin hits an awkward stunner on Taker for 2 as Vader gets 2 on Hart. All four guys are getting messy and in a good way. It's a good fight feel. Taker batters Austin as Vader and Bret slip outside. Vader's eye cut is nasty here as he bashes Bret with a chair. Taker and Austin tumble out. Taker backdrops him on the floor. Back inside, Bret heats up on Vader. Taker comes in and gets 2 on Bret on a suplex. Vader heads to the floor, rumbles with Austin, but gets spiked into the steps. Austin slams the steps on top of Vader, shoots Vader to the railing, and then he belly flops into the timekeeper table and traps the poor cameraman under him. Him and Austin are just having a wild fight outside.
Mm-hmm.
Vader's a complete madman. He's pummeling Bret. Taker crotches Austin on the top rope. Vader and Bret fight down the aisle into the crowd. Taker stomping away in the ring. Vader puts Bret in the sharpshooter on the floor, and Austin comes over to stomp on his rival while he's trapped. Vader regroups in the ring as Bret and Taker double team Austin on the floor. Vader comes over, but Taker jabs him in the eye. Austin rolls inside, gets a Thez press, and pounds on the cut. Blood is pouring everywhere. All four guys are back in, just battering each other with abandon. Vader loads up a moonsault, but comes up empty on Taker to a pop. Vader and Taker go to the floor. Vader chokes him with a cord. Austin tries to eliminate Bret over the top. Vader chokes away as Taker reminds Ross, at Taker's, Ross reminds us that the winner of this war has to defend against Sid tomorrow night. Austin rolls Bret up for 2, but Bret recovers and punts Vader in the nuts to a big pop. Austin works Taker's leg as Bret heats up on Vader, who's just gushing blood, pooling at his mask still. Austin and Taker get close to eliminating each other, but both hang on. Bret finally fires up, and he eliminates Austin over the top to a pop. Out of nowhere, ends his night. Again, this surprised me very much live at the time because I felt like he'd be in there at the end. Bret and Vader work Taker's leg and stomp away. They beat on each other. Vader finally takes off the mask as Bearer clocks Taker at the urn. Vader gets a stiff suplex on Bret, goes up top, but Bret slugs him. It's a massive superplex, a big pop. Hooks on the sharpshooter, but Taker breaks it up. For some reason, that didn't make sense to me. Austin is back out, attacks Bret on the floor as Taker pops up from a Vader bomb, punches Vader in the nuts, and Vader flops over the top to the floor. He's eliminated. Austin's back in the ring. He's beating on Bret until Taker wipes him out, hits a big choke slam on Bret. Taker loads up a tombstone, but Austin pulls Bret's leg and they collapse to the mat. Taker gets tied up with Austin. Bret rolls him up for 2. Taker goes after Austin again, and that allows Bret to clothesline Taker out and win the world title. So I don't know if Austin's goal here was to have Bret win the belt so he could go after him, or he was trying to help Taker but backfired. It was hard to tell because he breaks up the tombstone. You think he would want him to hit the tombstone, but
yeah, I think it's just to be an agent of chaos. I think they wanted to show like he just wanted to get, after Bret.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah. Well, classic match. It's an all-time Vader performance for WWF. I mean, it's his best. He dialed it up. He delivered. It was good too. I like that they kept all four guys in pretty much to the end. We didn't whittle them down. Honestly, I think the only improvement I could say I would have made is don't make it elimination and no over the top, and just have it be a fight to the finish. Yeah. I think would have been better with all four guys in there at the end. But the over the top did let them protect guys, and it did make sense with the Rumble piece. So I'm okay with it in that regard. Bloody Vader was tremendous, just a wrecking ball. He felt like a star. Honestly, he felt like the star of the match beyond everyone else. The crowd was hot. Ross and King were great. Hard hitting, no bullshit, well paced, nonstop brutality. I actually thought Austin looked the weakest. I thought he was good, but not great. And then kind of got thrown out as an afterthought. I didn't think he really shined. I was glad he at least led to the finish because I thought in the match he was completely overshadowed. The crowd was mostly behind Taker, I think, of all the four. Good finish with a lot of chaos, protects Taker from Mania, keeps Austin hot. Bret, he's the easiest to win and lose, as we'll see. So that's fine. I went 4 1/4. I think it holds up really, really well. It's a great WWF match. It's kind of you talked about this pay-per-view feeling like a preview that could have been dropped in the Attitude Era, and this match is a big part of it. Like, this feels absolutely like a match we'd get a year from now. So it's definitely like a precursor of what's to come.
Yeah, this is a match I have an interesting, I guess, relationship with, where at points been lower than I think consensus, and I mean I may still be. I'm at 4 flat. Like I think it's great. But like Meltzer gave it 4 1/4. Keller gave it 4.5. So I mean, this got a monster ratings at the time. I think it's a very unique match. That works because all four guys are fighting constantly for the entire duration. I mostly echo your thoughts with the over the top rope. I do think that led to a little bit of anticlimactic
Yeah.
moments with the eliminations, but I don't want to ding it too much because it does make sense psychology wise with the Royal Rumble and also the protection, like you said. Like that makes sense because I mean, at this point they knew where they were headed to Mania, right? Like we finally have a roadmap where it's going to be. Maybe not with Vader, which kind of sucks because he looks the best in this match. But we know it's going to be Austin Hart, and we know it's going to be Taker Sid for the title. So if Hart's winning tonight, you don't want Taker to kind of get pinned clean, and
Hmm.
then he kind of it's one of those like was born on third base moments where he kind of lucks into the world title shot somehow at Mania. So I thought that was good. I do think Austin was better after he was eliminated. Like
Yeah,
him
for sure.
constantly being annoying was really cool. And then Bret, the moment of him doing the promo and walking out was a really cool visual, where the camera follows him through the curtain. But to me, this match being great, uh, like in a year where Austin has a lot of great matches, in a year where Bret has a lot of great matches, in a year where even Undertaker has a lot of great matches, we'll see with Shawn coming up later down the line.
And
The
Brett.
the yeah, and Bret. What makes this match stick out is Vader.
Yeah.
Vader is someone that when you look at this match of the four competitors, 3 out of the four I have in my top 50 all time. Um, and Vader's probably ranked the highest. Uh, but him and Austin and Bret I have pretty close, like
Hmm.
within probably 10, 15 spots of each other. And in WWF, I don't think Vader has that like GOAT classic performance that I can recall besides this match. Like
Yeah.
he has, I mean, he was really good to great in the SummerSlam match.
Hmm.
Um,
That got fucked by the booking with all the
that
stupid start stop stuff.
got screwed by the booking, but even beyond that, like I mean, he was good. Like that certainly wasn't a disappointing performance. I
He
think
was
just
good at international incident
wise.
too, but beyond that, he has not been presented well.
But this is like okay, yeah, like this is a Vader performance that if you want to list off his greatest hits and like these are the matches that make Vader one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, like you throw this on there, like
Hmm.
he's a menace in this match. He looks tough. He looks ferocious. He looks resilient with his eye.
Yep.
Do you think that was a blade job? I know
No,
there's some like yeah,
I don't think so. I think the chair caught him because you see it happen so
yeah,
fast. Yeah, I think because I think he kicks the chair the other way, right, into him. So I think
yeah.
the edge of the chair must have caught him
Corner.
like right above the eyebrow or something because it
He
doesn't look like a blade job.
No, it's funny like Vader because he obviously has the famous match with Hansen in
Yeah.
Japan with his eye, and now he has this eye situation. Like he's got a lot of eye matches. I didn't think so either. I just know in the torch they kept calling it a blade job, like different reviews. But yeah, I mean, this is an all-time performance from him. A lot of nut shots in this match.
Hmm.
That was a point of emphasis. Again, getting over the attitude era. I like that they used weapons that were sensible around the
Yes.
ring. I think that's something that watching it in 2023's eyes really called to me.
Yeah.
Where you had the chair, Finkel gets moved out of the way, he gets crushed. Like
Right.
like everything makes sense. You're not finding the kendo stick under the ring. You're not.
Or a ladder or
Yeah,
tables. Like
yeah.
it was a chair. It was the extension
The
cord.
steps,
Yeah, the
like
steps. Like that was it. Yeah.
everything is very logical, and even some stuff that becomes very tropey later that wasn't up to this point, like tables
Mhm.
and God going through the barricade. That's a huge WWE trope now in current day that drives me crazy. Like nothing to me felt tropey in this match.
Yeah.
Like
No.
everything felt logical and in the confines of a brawl, and both guys all four guys trying to go after it to win the title. So it was a very successful match. I mean, it's a great match. It's kind of a match we needed, like on pay-per-view. We hadn't had, I really like
Survivor
Starcade.
Series was the last time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Starcade has some great, like low end great, but this is like a main event, like really epic feeling match.
Mm-hmm.
This is up there, and this to me, you can put this in the echelon with the matches we watch on the show. Like I'd have it lower than probably all of them, but if you want to put it in the category within your house 5, the Good Friends, Better Enemies, and then the Survivor Series, Bret Diesel as well. So this I think's in that canon as the 5 or 6 best WWF matches we've seen in the history of the podcast up to this point.
And it's a good story too, like playing off the Rumble and where we're going, and it sets up 2 matches for Mania. You don't know where the title's going to be, which I like. It's a little confusion. Like, are we going to get Taker Sid, just non-title? Is Taker going to do something else? Is Bret Austin for the belt? Like, it's believable at this point, right? 100% that Bret will just carry this belt to Mania and fight Austin.
Oh yeah.
It looks like Shawn's on the shelf, but it's only been a few days. We're still digesting that. Is he really going to miss Mania? Like,
yeah, they kept saying he was getting this MRI, so that's it's honestly a little weird how they kept mentioning that, because it almost felt like if you were a long-term fan, like Angle Alert was going off, like he's gonna get this MRI, get the clean bill of health, and then be back.
Come fight Bret at Mania. Yeah, like it felt like they could be building up another redemption story for him to take on Bret. So I mean, look, for better or worse, we are now a month out from Mania, no more pay-per-views, and the card is still completely unpredictable in every way. Like, you're probably going to get Bret Austin at this point. It's trending that way, but
to the veer. Yep.
But that's it. Beyond that, I don't think anything else in any way is predictable at all. So maybe Goldust Hunter, I guess, is probably the only other thing that you could say is looking like it's setting up.
Ahmed Farouk, I'd say.
And Ahmed Farouk.
Yep.
So yeah, it's an interesting time. All right, so that we wrap up. We're not officially done yet. We have a WrestleMania ad, and then Sid comes down at the end and stares down Bret. And they'll set up our next episode 2 weeks from today, where we cover Raw the night after. So, all right, let's get to our awards, Chad. We're not doing any combo awards yet. We'll do those when we get to Super Brawl for the month. But for this night, obviously, the match of the night's very clean. So the Final Four.
Yep.
For the moment, I ended up going with Chyna's debut. Like I know, like Bret winning the belt's the other option, I guess, but Chyna debut, you talked about, it's like a major debut in this run. The catalyst for the eventual DX's success. She's such a big part of it. It's a memorable debut. So I think it's worth the nod.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. I think from historical significance. So
it means more than this Bret reign,
Yeah, I think in the moment, like at the night of Bret winning, but yeah.
I'd put Vader's eye over Bret winning, honestly. Like, I think that's way more memorable than the end of the match is Vader bleeding in the mask. And that picture from the Raw magazine is like really infamous,
I mean, that's honestly like and when did that magazine actually come out?
It's quick. I think it's like quick after this. Maybe it's the May edition, but it probably came out in like April or whatever.
Okay.
But, the Vader Bloody Vader. It's a pretty famous one. So
yeah, it is. It's May, June 1997.
I loved Raw. I was all in a Raw magazine.
I think that was the first one I actually got of Raw magazine, because they'd only had like 6 or 7 up to that point. But
I used to get 2 copies because I like subscribed and then I won a subscription or something. It was something weird like that. So I used to get 2 of them. So I'd like rip the covers off the double and like put them on my wall. So I had the Bloody Vader picture on my wall for a while. So
I'm still waiting on somebody to just like photo scan all that in the PWI.
Maybe I'll do it. I have them all.
Come on.
I have all the Raw magazines.
We definitely need a Google Drive of that to drop. Like, I feel like on footage.
Listen, when you come for your visit up here next time, we'll go through them all and scan them all in. We'll stay up overnight and go through them all.
Yeah, sure.
MVP, I did go Vader here, though. I mean, he was the best of the night. He looked awesome.
Yep.
If he was like this his entire run, he'd be one of the best 30F. He'd be on a GWE list pretty high if this was his run for 2 years.
Yeah.
Sadly not. Although I will say his 97 has been better than his 96 for sure. Like, we liked him at the Rumble. He beat Bret on Thursday, Raw Thursday. Like, he's, or he fought Bret on Thursday, Raw Thursday, and looked good. So, like, he's been better since joining Paul Bearer and getting rebooted here.
Yeah.
Debuts are just Chyna. I ended up going with Bret and Shawn for dropped angles. I mean, ostensibly we're done with it for a while for now. I guess it does get reignited, so I don't know if that's the right thing or not to put it there, but this incarnation of it is done for now.
Yeah.
And then no shots fired, no please no's. So final grade, I ended up going 6.5 out of 10. I have it right on par with Thursday Raw Thursday. It's a 2-hour show, and a huge chunk of it is this awesome main event. So, like, that carries some weight.
No.
We had Chyna's debut was a big deal. The rest is kind of whatever, but it also was treated as not a lot of time eating up throughout the show. I liked Rocky Hunter well enough as well. So, and the tag title match was fine. So I think 6.5 out of 10 feels about right.
Yeah, I went 6.5 too. I think it's a good show. It's an interesting one where we talked about with these 2-hour in your houses, like they're easy watches.
Yeah.
Especially if you got the main event. I mean that is almost like 40-45 minutes, probably all in.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty easy watch, even
You're
though
looking at an hour 50
yeah.
in one great match. So it's like, yeah, these 2-hour in your houses are always is even to the rougher ones where like at least they move along,
I feel like this had more potential, because some of the other shows that I mentioned that had great matches too, like In Your House 5 or Good Friends Better Enemies, like the undercards were pretty shaky on
Yeah.
those. I feel like nothing was atrocious on this, and there was actually potential there for this to be like a great show.
Yeah.
But it's still good, very good.
All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks with the night after, and of course it'll be the go home for Super Brawl as well. So another big night ahead of us. A lot. It's going to be big from here on out. There's no more nights off for us going forward. Raw and Nitro are both going to deliver regularly. So check out everything at North South Connection, both here on YouTube if you're watching, and also on our audio feed, any podcatcher application. You can just search North South Connection. Follow us on social media. The napalm. Smell it. War continues. Talk to you in 2 weeks.